Okay, hello there ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? It's Alexander Hilly123 here, and it's time for Chapter 7 of my Dead Space 2 Hardcore difficulty walkthrough. And we're going to be taking on the tripods on the elevator here. Definitely one of the trickier parts of the game. And the strategy that I use for this video usually goes better than it does in this actual video, which is not what you're going to be want to hearing. What you're going to want to hear, sorry. What is English? When you're watching a walkthrough. But it goes pretty badly, and if you don't take care of the tripods quickly, then there's a real chance that you can get overawed by the situation. You can get killed because doing it the way that I do it, there's never more than 2 at once. But there's about 6 windows possibly on the elevator, and as such, probably if you don't kill any, there could well be 6 tripods. So doing it this way usually works for me. It doesn't here, but we'll discuss it when the gameplay happens and we'll talk through it. But I remember it going pretty badly, and by the end of it I was nearly dead.
This is going to be trouble.
You don't necessarily have to aim for the orange spots, as long as you shoot the arms towards the edge where the tripod is holding onto. Also, this leaper gets me here. Now, 9 times out of 10, I promise you, you get into there and that leaper does not hit you. I was very surprised at that. There's the pause rage. When I pause the game for a split second like that, it just allows you guys to know that I'm very, very angry. It's just something I do. Very rare that leaper will get you though. But yeah, this elevator, one of the reasons why I always make my save start at Chapter 7. Because if you hadn't made your first save by now, you'd sure be nervous. Sure, there's people out there who completed this game without saving at all, needless to say, but it's just a little bit too long. Imagine the game crashing, or a bullshit death. There's even a place in Chapter 10, and I'll speak about it in more depth later, but you can fall through the floor and instantly die just through a glitch. That doesn't sound like fun on hardcore, does it? The game isn't just going to apologise and respawn you back where you were. And you better believe where that usually happens, my second save is just before that moment. But anyway, as you can see, I'm shooting the arms right next to the sides of the windows. Now, I can promise you, that's the best place to shoot. Don't aim for the orange, because obviously, with more specific aiming, you're going to make it harder for yourself, but you can just aim the edges of their arms, and it's going well up until this point. Spunking quite a lot of ammo, but it's going well, and obviously they're dropping stuff as well, so I'm getting shit back. That guy tried to hit me, and I'm just being a bit slow. I think that's what it is. I'm having to move from the centre because they're trying to hit me. I know that, and I'm getting made uncomfortable because of it, and then they just keep hitting me. All that was a few moments of bad gameplay and bad luck as well, I'd say, with them reaching inside here, and I'm nearly dead. So the margins are very fine, and my lord, have you got to be careful. Lost quite a few health items there as well. That usually goes better doing it that way. What you can do, one of the best weapons to use for that, if I remember correctly, is the detonator. If you use the detonator right during that fight, you can knock them all off and kill them instantly, if I remember correctly. But of course, on this difficulty, you've got to be very careful of explosions. As we can see, even more explosions here. But yeah, detonator is a good weapon for that fight, but a bit too risky for me on hardcore. And sometimes you also just shoot the detonator mine right out of the window as well, which is quite funny. But I'm making sure to kill these cysts because the force gun schematic is here. There it is. And the force gun, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great weapon. And also a weapon, even though it's a gameplay-wise totally different kind of game, Dead Space 3, I couldn't imagine playing the game without the force gun. Because the enemies are so fast, you just have to knock them back. You don't use the force gun to outright kill enemies many times. You just use it to get them on their arse and just to buy yourself some time. But the alt fire is genuinely quite powerful, and it's easy to upgrade the first couple of nodes towards the alt fire, I do believe. So force gun, awesome weapon, better than it is in the first game. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to bring Howard Phillips along with us here for what is most certainly one of the most infamous parts of the game. Shutting down the machine. Oh, he slept well, okay. Quite a sad story actually when you read the text logs with Howard Phillips. Some really cool lore in these games within the audio logs and the text logs. Some of the best in gaming, to be sure. And we have a few of these rooms now. And I said before, earlier in the game, about the devs of this game reusing assets. We go through this area 3 different times, but it just looks slightly different. Get rid of the traps there, the bombs. There's a secret power node, I do believe. Well, this next room coming up is a room where there's a decompression window, and I believe you can run to the right hand side and not actually get caught within the blast of the decompression window, but I don't know how to do it. Not something you want to hear during a walkthrough. But there you go. You get caught in the middle of that, you're going to have to hit the switch at the top of the decompression window. And this is what I always choose to do, because a few enemies, that leaper there, he gets sucked out. It's a very easy switch to shoot. Then you just got to be wary of the babies here. But yeah, I've seen a few people run to the right, and they don't have to do that. I tried it once and I got fucked up, so I'm just sticking to what I know here. Another good thing about the force gun, they kill these things really easily, even with the primary fire. And then you can obviously, they don't blow up through the force gun's primary fire, but then you can use them as weapons against other enemies. Very cool indeed. Oh man, this is the first post-commentary project I've done in over 3 years. People don't realise you've got to record the gameplay, then I've got to narrate over it commentary-wise, and then I've got to save it to my hard drive, which takes about 20 minutes on average for a 30-minute video. A lot of waiting around. Some of these projects take time. Anyway, the leaper comes down there. I'm going to hit him with stasis immediately. And look at this guy. He gets caught in the vent with stasis and I just kill him. And somehow he pops out. That is brilliant. And this guy, into the vent he goes. Or the loot goes into the vent, I should say. Tell I knew he was coming. It's good to drop that mine there. If you don't, he will respawn through the vent on this floor. So let's get rid of him. And as we can see it, we've increased the damage of the line gun, and we've finally gotten to the duration of the timed mine. So the difference is, I don't know, probably from something like 6 seconds to 3 seconds in terms of how quickly it goes off. So that's much better for you. There's less time for the enemies to escape the radius of it, but there's also less time for you to get out the radius of it as well. There is one time from now until the end of the game where I do get blown up by my own timed mine. Thankfully I don't die in chapter 11. And I am sure we'll speak about it when we get there. But yeah, you can tell that it's the kind of stage 2 timed mine, because it's not blue, it's red. Cool little set piece here with 2 stalkers. And as you can see, I improved the TK before, and that guy just died in one hit. I didn't have to follow it up with any ammunition. So it's good to see that the upgrades are proving the worth. Oh, it's late at night now, well, 10 PM. This is chapter 7. I think I might call it for today and then just do this tomorrow, the rest of it, because I've got to narrate 8 more chapters after this. You've essentially got to complete the game twice doing post-commentary. But if I'd have done live commentary, it'd have been a complete mess.
Initiating system lockdown. System lockdown complete.
So to the right here, we've just got a few swarmers. You've got a little puzzle, which you hardly have to be 200 IQ to know how to do it. And then we've got a secret little room where you get Peng. That's right, Peng has returned. Well worth getting because you can sell the Peng for 10,000 credits. There's a power node in there. There's a large med pack. And a few other goodies as well, I do believe. So we will be doing that. And also in the next room, I believe the Necromorph. There's an enhanced slasher, and he kind of trolls me and he hits me. I'll speak about that in a minute when we get there.
Warning. Mainframe electrical shielding has been deactivated. Proceed with caution.
I'm not one for trying to do no damage on my favourite kind of games. You know, people really like doing that. A lot of the notorious and famous streamers and video makers, but it's just not something that appeals to me. Also, during a walkthrough, you need to see good gameplay, sure, but you also need to articulate when things go wrong and why they went wrong, and what somebody could do to potentially avoid it happening to them. So I do think that balance is quite important.
Unauthorized visitor.
Mainframe. But this is the guy who hits me. I think he just charges through my pulse rifle. And I got the damage up to level 3, so this quite simply shouldn't have happened. I was pretty salty, to be sure, when this happens. Look at this. Now, you can't explain that. There's the pause rating, ladies and gentlemen. You can't explain that either. See how it's red? The bomb? How quick it goes off. Brutal. Combined with the fact that the stasis is now upgraded, no one is getting out of that radius in time to, you know, escape the explosion.
Unauthorized visitor. Mainframe.
Got the machine just watching us there outside. She was just a sick part of the game, man. Oh.
Containment compromised. Security has been noted.
So there we go. The mainframe's gone. And you got to turn these blue. Turn every single one blue and you'll get into the secret room. I certainly didn't know about this on my first playthrough. I remember watching Markiplier play this, and he used to love these games back in the day. And he did it on his first playthrough with absolutely no inkling that it existed. I'm not going to say that it's impossible for you to know that that exists in your first playthrough, but I don't know, I kind of had my doubts that it was legit. Maybe that's just me being too cynical. Anyway, what we got in here? We got a power node, a large med pack, another power node, some conductors. Oh my lord, this room's amazing. What's not amazing though is the fact that I don't have much space in my inventory. Gotta leave a few goodies behind. But overall, that'll do. Coming up, ladies and gentlemen, is one of my best and most favoured strategies in the game, which is the timed mine followed by force gun, keeping enemies in place, the radius of it. It's so fun, and quite simply, with this game and similar games, there are weapons that complement each other, and I think these two complement each other perfectly. The explosion of the bomb and gravity! So here we have it. That's upgraded stasis, and that motherfucker... You saw how quick he was to start running there.
Please step away. Damaging the mainframe circuits will cause
Lord.
crashes in programming. For your safety, step away from the circuits.
Step away from the vehicle, sir. Blow all of them up with one timed mine. And also, as we can see, because we've improved the damage of the line gun now, a lot of enemies are going to drop with one shot. The line gun is a contender, I'd say, for my favourite gun in video gaming. Just everything about it. Dropping through. Now, before, in one of the previous parts, ladies and gentlemen, I did say that you can't take smaller enemies for granted on Dead Space, and this is one of the ultimate examples of that. These enemies hit hard, even though they're tiny, and they are parts of a divider, which we will see later, like Slenderman, basically. Now, you can catch assist, very risky. If you don't know what you're doing, probably best not to try it. But I'm looking now for one of the spiders to come towards me, and I'm going to blow it up with this. Trying to move around, getting them to... There you go, there he is. That kills him. But there's at least two more, and they're just difficult to shoot. They're annoying. And if they grab you, you've got to go into a QTE where you've got to get them off you. If you've got low health as well, it's one of the coolest death scenes in the game, where they rip your head off. One of them in particular, the one with the kind of walking skeleton, or crawling skeleton I should say. He just, the skeleton, his legs go inside your neck, and then he just fits onto your neck. It's just absolutely horrifying, downright hilarious, and just one of the most what the fuck moments anyone has ever seen in video game history. It's insane. And I remember Seraphim17 in one of his Twitch streams, great YouTuber and Twitch streamer, he was mentioning how in Resident Evil 3 Remake, when Jill dies, it isn't very graphic. I'll speak about it in a minute. I want to go back to that point, but this is an important fight, because Enhanced Necro, boom, stasis him, use a time mine, fuck him. I'm going in this room. I like this node room, it's got some good goodies, and there are two leapers, so it's the perfect time to fuck them both up. That works brilliantly. Getting the stasis here. I know there's two lurkers. Now watch this motherfucker. He's been hit by that. I think, right, he's out of the picture. He's gone. Just concentrate on the last one. This game's not so challenging. And then what? Excuse me? Is that the same guy? I'm not sure. But overall, that went really well. Just a shame about the lurker taking the piss. Taking the proverbial. Now, in that power node room, I think we've got a contact beam schematic, a conductor, and some other goodies. I think my inventory is still full, so take me a bit of time to get all this shit in here. But as I was saying before, Seraphim17 was mentioning how shit the death scenes were in Resident Evil 3 Remake, and at the end of the day, it might sound a bit disturbing to say you want these characters that would play as to get absolutely obliterated when they die. Like Dead Space 1 and 2, The Evil Within 1, for example, the death animations are very exaggerated, disturbing, and downright ridiculous. Although these are obviously horrifying enemies that we're dealing with here. But it's not about necessarily the gore, it's about the effort that's gone into that. Everything in a video game takes work, and those death animations, as disturbing as they are, take a lot of work. And not only that, but thought. You know, that skeleton that decapitates you and then you get a new head and then you start walking around. That is absolutely insane. What happens to Resident Evil 3 Remake? You get hit by a rocket launcher and Jill's just there with all her body parts still intact. Like she's just been slapped to the floor or something. It's just silly, and it shows a lack of creativity and a lack of effort, mainly. This game, though, thankfully you don't see any death scenes, but believe you me, they are graphic. Nicole, what have I told you about this? You are not the number one wife. Oh, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be introduced to a new enemy, one that wasn't in Dead Space 1. And I can't remember what they're called, but they spew out these orange projectiles. And there's only one thing for it, really: the timed mine. I think every time you kill one of these, you get a conductor as well. But they're usually, not always, but they're usually placed in really awkward positions to fuck you up. There he is, coming out of his ball sack. And then the other pulsating sacks have been exploded.
It looks like two of the mirrors
We got a ruby semiconductor that's worth 10,000, I believe.
Hyperventilating, but I don't know how much longer he's going to last.
Great area here, by the way.
If Strauss dies,
Quite tense on your first playthrough. Obviously, when you played it multiple times, it's not. But here it is. You've got to align the solar arrays. You've got oxygen around you, but it's just a cool area. Dead Space 3, because it was more action orientated and stuff, they should have had more areas like this. They should have really doubled down with this kind of gameplay in Zero G. It's just, I can't get it into my head how in 2020 we don't have, okay, if this series is now dead, we don't have anything else. There was a game, and I've spoken about small indie developers with obvious passion not being able to come close to replicating what a AAA dev can do. There was a game a few years ago, I've spoken about it before, called Crying Is Not Enough, which was very inspired by Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Alan Wake, Evil Within, stuff like that. And a lot of passion went into it, but it was absolutely awful and completely broken. Then last year there was one called Demo 98. It was the initial Resident Evil 2 remake before Capcom got involved. And oh my lord, that game was not fun either. A lot of passion got involved, but it just didn't cut the mustard. It wasn't good enough. Why? Because those guys have not got enough money. They've got the idea, they just can't implement them properly, and it sucks, but it's the way it is.
all right, Ellie, one down.
But the days of these kind of games being made are gone, and I can't stop talking about it because it sucks.
You'll hurt me. I'm not strong enough. I promise I'll protect you. Now, just get over here and give me a hand.
But yeah, where are the sci-fi horror games of this gen? There's a game, and I don't know if it's been released or not. I don't care, because it looks so bad, and I hate to be disrespectful, but I'm just saying the way I feel. Of course, if it hasn't been released, who knows, it might be a masterpiece. But there's a game called something like, is it Zero Atmosphere Negative Atmosphere or something like that? And it's obviously inspired hugely by this game specifically, and people keep talking about it, and I'm like, have you seen how bad the gameplay looks? It looks worse than a PS1 game, and anyone who knows me will know that I'm not a graphics whore. It's about the gameplay, the atmosphere, and other aspects of the game, but it just looks unplayable. And that's what survival horror fans have got to look forward to now. Oh, by the way, you know how I'm always cynical about modern gaming? I just found out that the next gen games are going to cost more money. So, that's good, isn't it?
I'll meet you as soon as I can.
I won't be buying the next gen consoles for at least 2 years after their launch.
Ellie, come in.
at least.
Isaac, we have to cross to the government sector before they cut us off. You'll never make it down here in time.
I'll be there.
He'll be there. I'll be there. So on the back of this here, if you see MC90, that is what the devs put in the game. They were hoping for a 90 score on Metacritic. If you look at the bottom left, there it is. Currently on Metacritic, 9 years after the game's release, it currently has 87. I think it deserves a 90 personally. I think 87's a tad too low, but whatever. The first game probably has like 89. It's crazy though. We're living in a crazy time. I'm going to be talking about it, and I will get back to the game in a minute. But Last of Us 2 just launched, obviously, a few weeks ago. All the journalists coming out saying it's a masterpiece. It obviously isn't. And there are people who love the game. And there's going to be arguments back and forth. Not only about the gameplay, but obviously about Neil Druckmann and his obvious agenda with the game. But a lot of fans just were not finding it to be a masterpiece level. But the journalists are like saying, no, this is a masterpiece. And you are a scrub, level 1 shit-munching gamer. You're going to do what we tell you. And you're going to find this game a masterpiece. And it's like, nah, Last of Us 2 is just nowhere near as good as the first game in many aspects.
Ellie, where are you?
Right outside. Hurry.
Just 7 out of 10. And all these journalists giving it a 10. And a lot of them are being bought out by the bigger developers. I saw Greg Miller interviewing Neil Druckmann and the guy Troy Baker who plays Joel, and Ashley Johnson who plays Ellie, and they're all interviewing each other. Apparently, I saw the YouTube comments, but I didn't watch the video. Baker and Johnson are looking really uncomfortable, and Druckmann's there because Druckmann's the kind of guy who loves the smell of his own windbreaking. You know what I mean? Proper wanker. You can just tell. But this guy, Greg Miller, I think he said, oh yeah, it's a great game, masterpiece, blah blah blah, and then he's interviewing him a few weeks after. It's like Druckmann wouldn't have an interview with someone who gave an honest 6, 7 out of 10 review of that game, would they? I think you can see where I'm coming from with this. For me personally, in this day and age of video games, you've got to find people who either aren't making money off their reviews, thus you can trust them more, or just find people who, through prior reviews, you can tell they're fair and you usually agree with them. At the end of the day, there are going to be disagreements here and there, but yeah, a lot of the bigger journalism publications out there are fucking shit. Now, as you can see, we are running around this room.
Hold on.
And this can work, and you don't have to shoot any necromorphs at all. I've done this many times before, and it works because this is one of the hardest parts of this game. Here's what happens, ladies and gentlemen. In about 20 seconds, I'm going to see a slasher. I don't understand why he's there, but I know there he is. Unlike the pack, I know I can't outrun him, I should say. The pack, they won't catch up to you. There they all are. That's who I'm running from. Because the more you kill here, the more that's going to spawn. It's a horrible, horrible room. Here's the door we have to go through. And in about 30 seconds of your oxygen being left is when Ellie is going to open the door. Look at that leaper. Where the fuck is he now? I'm just containing them here. Catching that puke. Stasising a leaper if I see one. Because they're the main enemy that needs to be stasised. Slasher, let's just kill him. There's a leaper. I can't even see him before I stasis him. Notice how I'm healing ASAP as soon as the shit goes down. It's a bit of a shit show. You can be running in that kind of rectangle area and not have to kill anyone. I've had it happen many times, but for whatever reason that slasher appeared. It's not perfect, but if I'd have killed the pack immediately, you're going to have to withstand that part for longer. And it's hard.
I was right here this morning with a crew of 30 people. But we were overrun. And before I knew it, they transformed. I had to cut the arms and legs off my friends just to escape.
Damn.
I'm sure pieces of them are still lying around here somewhere.
I'm falling to pieces. Will someone put me back together? Got the words wrong. That's Faith No More, ladies and gentlemen. But I have faith that you will join me in Chapter 8. See you then.
Let's figure out how to meet up.
Right. There's a central hub in the main facility. Here are the coordinates.